Good evening and welcome to the October 19th, 2016 legislative meeting of the Penfield Town Board. And I'll officially call the meeting to order. I'll ask you to please rise for the flag, and I'll ask that you please remain standing after the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I would ask for a moment of silence tonight for Jack James Heiligman, a 3-year-old who was involved in a very tragic accident over the weekend. He's also the grandson of Judge Jim Mully and his wife, Jeannie. And I'd ask that we keep the family in our prayers and our thoughts. And I just ask for a moment, please. Thank you. I'd like to recognize our clerk for the roll, please.
Cole. Here. Fountain.
Here.
Metzler. Here. Moore.
Here.
Quinn.
Here. Thank you. To start off this evening, I would like to recognize Councilwoman Linda Cole. I'd also like to recognize Bernadette Bunny Brinkman, our librarian, as well as Mary Maley, who was past librarian for the Penfield Public Library and is current president of the Friends of the Library. And I would ask that one or both please join us at the podium.
I can read to you. And then you can tell us all about how much money you made at the book sale.
Yeah, I will.
Okay. So this week is Friends of the Library Week, October 16th to the 22nd. So it's the proclamation from the town supervisor. Whereas the Friends of the Penfield Public Library have conducted an annual book sale for 40 years to raise money that enables our library to move from good to great, providing the resources for additional programming, much needed equipment, support for children's summer reading, and special events throughout the year. Whereas the work of the Friends highlight on an ongoing basis the fact that our library is the cornerstone of the community, providing opportunities for all to engage in the joy of lifelong learning and connect with thoughts and ideas of others from ages past to present. Whereas the Friends understand the critical importance of well-funded libraries and advocate to ensure that our library gets the resources it needs to provide a wide variety of services to all ages, including access to print, electronic materials, along with expert assistance in research, readers, advisory, and children's services.
Linda, if I could just ask, maybe just pull that a little. Thank you.
Friends' gift of their time and commitment to the library set an example for all to volunteerism leads to positive civic engagement and betterment of the community. Now, therefore, be it resolved that our Anthony LaFountain, Supervisor, proclaims October 16th to 22nd, 2016 as Friends of the Library Week in Penfield, and urges everyone to join the Friends of the Penfield Public Library and thank them for all they do to make our library and community so much better. This is dated October 19th and signed by the Supervisor. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Okay.
I'll go back to my seat. And you
Can I say a few words? Yeah.
We would love to have you say a few words, Mary.
Okay. I'll try to make them few. There really is potential, a lot to say, but it says it all right here in this proclamation about the civic engagement, about the better community. And I have a lot of people to thank for all of that. I first want to thank the town. Tony and Linda helped us celebrate our 40th annual book sale this year, and I really appreciated that, and I appreciate the way the library is funded. It keeps it going as a great library in our Monroe County library system. It's extremely important, and I'm grateful that you recognize that so much. Second, I want to thank my partnership with Bunny Brickman, including all the Friends, and the staff who do such a great job of spending those funds. Because I hear all the time, I even heard it at my church yesterday, and how people love the library and they love the programs they go to. A lady said she was lonely because her husband died recently, And another lady just dove right in and said, you should go to the things at the library. And of course, I backed her up on that. But there are so many things to do. It is really, truly, I remember when we talked about it being the living room of the community, and it's all about a gathering space and as well as resources. But those programs are so terrific. And then, not really most important, but almost, is all the hard work put on by the Friends. And they include the Janet Flanagan, Gary Richardson, and Nancy Enstedt, the co-chairs of the book sale. I might be there every day, but they're the ones that organize it all, as well as Diane Robbins, the chief sorter, and her staff of sorters who work all year round, sorting the books into 50 categories, which is what makes the sale so successful. And again, I was at the cashier often. I heard over and over again, it's the best sale of all the libraries that people go to, all because it's sorted, and it's only once a year, so they have many things to choose from, and they really love it. So we made over $27,000 this year, and that will be put to very good use by the library staff. Did I forget anybody? No. I guess I really need to thank the patrons. First of all, they bring a lot of what we sell. They probably bought it last year, and they re-donated it. It's the greatest thing. And then there's a couple hundred of them that help at the book sale. We couldn't do it without them. A lot of the teams from the high school helped us set up and clean up. The cleanup is the hardest day of all for me, in my opinion. And it's so nice to see the kids there helping. And the setup day, the baseball team just goes back and forth for 3 hours, bringing the books over to the places where they're sold. It's a wonderful community. It just couldn't be better. It's perfect for the size of our community. Everyone knows about it. They just pitch right in. So I guess that's enough. I just want to say thank you again for everything. Thank you for this. It'll go on a bulletin board in the front of the library. And unless you can think of something else, I think.
And we look forward to next year's sale.
Yeah, I'm sure they're already working on it. I'm not kidding.
And I think I ask this every year after the sale. I believe people can start donating right away for all throughout the year. You can
They donated right up through the sale even.
So if anyone has any books,
DVDs,
records,
puzzles, records. We sold a lot of records. They were only a quarter. Now,
they can bring them right to the library, and there's that collective area. right
they
near
can
the front.
donate them right at the circulation desk, and even though they're not valued by anyone but yourself, you can get a receipt because you're, just like anything you
For
would
your
donate.
donation. Okay, great.
So, yeah, it's a really wonderful community event, so.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so
Mary,
much.
thank you for coming in, and Bunny, as always, thank you for
Mm-hmm.
your support. I know it's a two-way street. The Friends support you and some of those extra special programs, but certainly you provide a lot of support to the Friends, and so it's a great partnership, and I think that's what works. So,
I agree.
Thank you. All right, very good. Okay, before we move on with our regular agenda, I see we have some new folks in the audience. It must be participation in government time or a scout project. So I'm going to take a guess, probably participation in government. So welcome. There's an agenda up here, if right on this table, if you'd like to get that, if you haven't already gotten it. If you would like a copy of any of the resolutions tonight, we'll be more than happy to provide those. And at the end of the evening, if you need something signed to make sure that you were here, so you can take that back to your teacher. Our town clerk will be happy to do that. Sit back, relax. It should only be about a 4-hour meeting. It should be plenty of fun for you. All right. With that, we'll continue on with communications and announcements, and I'll recognize our town clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Just a reminder, the general election day will be held on Tuesday, November 8th. That's only a little less than 3 weeks away. Voting hours will be 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. If you are unsure of which polling site you will be voting at, please visit our website at www.penfield.org or call the Board of Elections at 753-1550. And I also wanted to mention that a couple of weeks ago, I had the privilege and honor of attending the Boy Scout Troop 9 Eagle Court of Honor ceremony at Penfield High School. There I represented the town and presented a certificate of recognition to David P. Freza Jr. for attaining the rank of Eagle Scout. David is the 98th Scout from Troop 9 to receive this honor. So we have some really wonderful young men that are part of our community. On behalf of the town supervisor, town board, and myself, I would like to extend our congratulations to David and his family.
Thank you very much. Councilman Quinn.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Good evening, everyone. Please take note that this week is National School Bus Safety Week. National School Bus Safety Week is a great opportunity to remind motorists to always exercise caution when school buses are stopped, children are boarding, or disembarking. This year's theme is Stop on Red. This message is to help heighten awareness of local stop arm laws and urges drivers to stop and wait and never pass a bus from behind. For many great links on school bus safety tips, please visit penfield.org, then click Links. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Metz.
I have one announcement this evening. The town's Historic Preservation Board recently awarded Bridget Marsh and Malcolm Mark Knowlton with this year's Jeffrey S. Crane Preservation Award. Both recipients are credited with preserving Penfield's past in ways that will sustain their properties well into the future. Bridget Marsh is being recognized for overseeing the rehabilitation of a residence at 1750 Penfield Road. The house from circa 1890 has been thoughtfully restored to honor its past and reclaim its prominence right along Penfield Road. Malcolm Mark Knowlton received the award for his significant restoration of 1759 Penfield Road. Malcolm, a jeweler, will live on site and operate a jewelry store. The house is directly across from St. Joseph's Cemetery, and the property is the former convent for St. Joseph's Church. The Historic Preservation Board established this award in 2007 in honor of Jeffrey Crane to recognize individuals who have cared for Penfield's past through the preservation of a significant historic structure. Congratulations and thank you both to Bridget and Malcolm for preserving the historic nature of our four corners of Penfield. That's all I have for this evening.
Thank you. Councilman Moore.
Thank you. A road rally Halloween dinner, a party, will be held on Sunday, October 30th. The event will begin at 4 p.m. with haunted clues hidden around Penfield and Fairport that will take participants on a ghostly ride, leading them to where the final dinner party awaits. Costumes are appreciated. Details will be provided with your $40 ticket purchase. Order tickets at penfieldrec.org or by phone at 340-8655. Also, gather all your ghosts and goblins for the Recreation's annual Family Fun Halloween event being held this Friday, October 21st from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Penfield Community Center. There'll be games, trick-or-treat, hay rides, crafts, and more. A pizza dinner will start at 5:30 p.m. for just $5 per person. In addition, the annual Historic Ghost Walk will be held at the Elkwood Cemetery with eerie tales to be told. Sorry. This event, or this year's walk theme, is the tragedy at Penfield, explaining a horrific incident that occurred in the winter of 1851. Tickets are $5 per person and are available in advance or at the event. For details on these Halloween events, please visit penfieldrec.org or call 340-8655. Again, that's this Friday, October 21st, at the Penfield Community Center here on Baird Road. Thank you.
I have two announcements. The Penfield Players, this is in 2 weeks, the Penfield Players have announced their performance dates for the fall thriller Murder Weapon. It will be held for 3 weekends beginning October 28th at the Community Center on Baird Road. Curtain call will be at 8 p.m. with a matinee performance on Sunday, November 6th from 2 p.m. For tickets, go to penfieldplayers.org or call 340-8655 or purchase a ticket at the door the evening of the performance. Come enjoy Murder Weapon with the Penfield Players beginning October 28th. And my other announcement, it's my monthly community chat, will be Tuesday, November 15th, 5:30 to 7 in the New Book area at the library. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Horwitz?
We have no further announcements tonight.
All right, very good, thank you. We'll move on to public participation. 2 opportunities to address the board on any matter. So you can address the board on any matter if you so choose, or if you have any questions. You can do that if you're here in the audience. You can call in at 340-866-8787. Wow, okay. I've only done it so many times that I almost forgot that. Or you can log on at penfield.org. So with that, has anyone signed up to address the board on any matter? No. And seeing none, is there anyone that would like to address the board on any matter? Okay, seeing none at this time. And again, there's the second opportunity at the end of the agenda. I'll ask the board, is there any additions or deletions to the agenda this evening? No. Okay. Seeing none, we have the approval of the minutes of September 7th, 2016 before us, and would entertain a motion of approval for those minutes.
I move that the minutes of September 7th be approved.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion. Seeing no discussion, I'd ask for a roll call vote, please.
Cole?
Aye.
The Fountain?
Aye.
Metzler?
Aye.
Moore?
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
5 ayes.
The petitions, has the town clerk, town attorney, or town board received any petitions since our last get-together? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to resolution by function. We'll start with law and finance, please.
Adoption of final budgets for fiscal year 2017 for the town of Penfield.
Moved.
Second.
Whereas the town board of the town of Penfield, having on the 5th day of October 2016, commencing at 7 p.m., duly held a public hearing on the preliminary budgets for fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2017. Whereas all requirements of Article 102 through 109 of the New York State Town Law for preparation and adoption of general highway and library budgets have been met. Whereas all requirements of Article 15 of the New York State Town Law for preparation and adoption of the special district budgets have been met. Whereas all persons desiring to be heard on the matter of the town budget in the town of Penfield for fiscal year 2017 having been fully heard. Now therefore be it resolved that the final budgets for general, highway, and library funds in special districts be and the same are hereby adopted as the annual budgets for fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2017. And that such annual budgets as so adopted be entered in detail in the minutes of the proceedings of this town board. Thank you.
Okay, discussion. Discussion. Any comments?
Start off.
Right off.
Mr. Supervisor, real quickly, if I could just ask our finance director a couple questions, if I could.
Right. Come right forward, Ms. Chertow. Robert Chertow, our finance director for the town of Penfield. Thank you as always. Thank you for your efforts on the budget this year.
Barbara, thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank you on behalf of the town board for the comprehensive presentation that you gave a couple weeks ago about the town budget. I know you've made yourself available to residents in this town that may be interested in certain elements of this budget, and I appreciate you taking the time to do that. When I look at this budget, and I look at a couple things that impact the town finances. One of them that I find, as a good story for the town of Penfield is certainly our town credit rating. Can you just elaborate a little bit on our town credit rating, what that is, why that's important, and how that compares to other communities, towns throughout the county and state?
Sure. Our current credit rating is large A, small a, with a 1, which that little 1 is also, there's 3, you can get a 1, a 2, or a 3 attached to that, and 1 is the highest. To be at that level, the next level up would be a double A. That's the highest level that Moody's gives any town or any municipality, actually. That our rating was upgraded in April from an AA2, and we actually are among the highest in Monroe, not only Monroe County, but throughout New York State, a town to have that designation of an AA1. Essentially, the best way to kind of explain why the credit rating matters is very similar to a personal FICO score. If you have a high FICO score, you can get low interest rates for borrowing to get your mortgage, to buy a car. Similar for us, a credit rating like ours that's so high and great actually helps us when we go out to the borrowing market. They know that we are very creditworthy. We won't have issues with paying anything back that we take on any new debt, and we will get low interest rates to do any capital improvements or acquisitions.
Okay. In my understanding, Moody's is a national independent credit rating agency. It's not something affiliated with the town of Penfield. Is that an accurate statement?
Correct.
Okay.
Actually, they're worldwide.
Worldwide. Okay, thank you. And then you stated something that just kind of caught my attention, that this credit rating, the AA1 credit rating that the town has, that's the second highest credit rating that you can get. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right, thank you. The other question I had concerning finances with the town budget is maybe about a month ago, 2 months ago, I know that the New York State Comptroller issued a report about distressed communities. I've got that report in front of me, or the executive summary of that report, titled Comptroller Statewide Fiscal Monitoring System. Can you just kind of quickly elaborate what that is about and how Penfield scored in that category?
Sure. In 2013, the comptroller started doing a fiscal stress monitoring system. And with that, they take a look at all the levels of government, and they look at things such as your fund balance, things such as your salaries and benefits, your cash ratio, kind of your cash flow, appropriations, and things like that with your revenue, and basically how solid and stable your community is. And thankfully, our community, we received, our score was 14.2, and to put that in perspective, the state doesn't even give you any, that's essentially no designation on their chart. They don't start designating you at any level until you reach 44.9%, which obviously we're well below that, so we receive no designation for having any sort of indicators of fiscal stress. And we obviously anticipate that remaining the case for a very long time to come.
So would it be accurate then for me to say, by the state comptroller having no designation for the town of Penfield, that's really what you're striving for then?
Exactly.
Okay, so if you have the way I'm reading this document is, if you have a higher percentage rating, that's not a good thing. That
Correct.
means you are showing fiscal distress. Whereas Penfield having a score of 4.1 out of a maximum score of 29 basically means that's a very good score. Therefore, we have no designation, which is a good thing, basically a good report.
Correct.
In
They
other
do,
words.
yeah, they do a weighted scoring, which is why we end up at a 14.2, that percentage-wise. But as I said, until you're up close to a 50% score, and that's where they just start to look at you. So we are well below that with no designation.
Okay. And when I was reading this report, I also noticed that the same would apply not only in 2015, but 2014 and 2013. If my math is correct in the way I read their schedule, we would have had no designation for 2014 and no designation for 2013, implying again that we scored very well under the state comptroller's fiscal monitoring system.
That's correct.
That's correct. Okay. Thank you. The other part of the budget that I like to bring to the attention of the residents, sometimes when I'm in the community and I talk to people and we talk about property taxes, there tends to be some confusion. And the confusion is around your total property tax bill. And what is your total property tax bill? And the fact of the matter is your total property tax bill really comprises of three main taxing jurisdictions. Those three taxing jurisdictions comprise your town taxes, your county taxes, and your school taxes. Each proportion of that, or each percentage, is a different governing body that would basically authorize or vote on whatever that tax rate would be for that particular entity. For instance, in the town of Penfield, of your total property tax bill, 8% of your total property tax bill, this legislative body, this town board controls. 24% of your total property tax bill is really controlled by the Monroe County Legislature, and there's 29 Monroe County legislators in the county of Monroe. And then 68% of your total property tax bill, which is obviously the largest portion of your total property tax bill, is controlled by either the Penfield School District or the Webster School District. So when you're looking at, hypothetically at, let's say, a $10,000 a year total property tax bill, the town board is only responsible for $800 of that $10,000 property tax bill. Is that an accurate assessment?
Yes, that is accurate.
Okay. And I appreciate you putting this chart, and I'm just going to show this real quickly if PCTV can kind of zone in on it. And this is in the budget document, and it shows the proportion. It's a pie chart, and shows town at 8%, county at 24%, and then it shows school taxes, whether it's Webster or Penfield school taxes, at 68%. And I just think it's important for everybody to understand who is allocating, the particular percentages of their property tax bill, and that this body only controls 8% of what their total property tax is. So I appreciate you adding this chart in the budget. Mr. Supervisor, I would also like to make sure that my numbers are correct when I was reviewing the budget and based on the public hearing and the finance director's presentation. Is it correct when we talk about, when we look at unfunded mandates on the town of Penfield, and generically you could say unfunded mandates on any town in New York State, but we're only concerned about Penfield here tonight. Unfunded mandates basically implies that the state or the federal government basically tells us what we have to pay, and we do not have any options other than to just pay that amount. We don't really have much input in it, we don't really have much say, but we are forced to pay what they tell us we need to pay, called an unfunded mandate, meaning they don't give us any type of funding to help cover that particular cost. If I am correct in my notes, you mentioned that the increase in health insurance premiums for the town of Penfield was roughly 12%. Is that correct?
We budgeted 12%. It looks like we may come in just a little bit under that,
Okay.
but historically we have been running double digits with healthcare.
Okay. And then also, based on my notes, I wrote down an increase in workers' compensation cost for the town of Penfield was roughly 17%.
That is correct.
Is that correct? Okay, thank you. One of the other elements, or one of the other aspects when it comes this time of year for voting on the budget is I like to talk independently with some of the town department heads. I've seen Bunny Brinkman, and Bunny, thank you for being here tonight. I see you every time I go to the library with my 10-year-old, my 7-year-old, you're always there, and I appreciate everything that you do for the library, making it such a wonderful facility and such a huge asset to this community. Thank you for the job that you do in being here tonight. When I talk to the highway department, to the recreation department, and the engineering department, conversations I have with Penfield Community Television, the various department heads in the state, I just want to make sure, from your perspective as the chief financial officer of this town, that we have the adequate funding that you feel that we need to maintain the plowing that the town highway department does in the roads in Penfield for this coming winter season. Are you comfortable that we have the adequate funding for that?
Absolutely.
Okay. Recreation activities. I talked to Chris Bilo, our recreation director, quite a bit. Just want to make sure that, in your conversations going over his budget, that you feel that, the programs that we offer here in the town, that the funding is adequate to maintain those programs?
Definitely.
Okay. When I was talking with Chris likes to throw out some numbers sometimes that I find absolutely fascinating. Numbers, such as over 1,000 different programs have been offered to Penfield residents. That's seniors, that's adults, and that's children programs. 1,000 different programs per year, roughly, that are offered to residents. That's fantastic. I want to make sure that our DEER programs are funded. I know this town board has taken very seriously programming and funding for seniors. DEER program basically stands for Daytime Education at Recreation. Most of those programs are at the community center. Some are outside the community center. But are you confident that the funding for those programs are maintained in this budget?
I am. I met with all of the department heads several times and communicated their needs and made sure that they had enough to do and provide the community with wonderful programs. DEER is one of them, and it continues to expand every year, and that is definitely a focus in that department.
Great, thank you. I mentioned earlier a little bit about our fantastic library. And Bunny, if I'm wrong on these numbers, please forgive me, but I believe that on an annual basis, we have roughly 200,000 visitors that go through the library building a year, and circulation of library books, magazines, tapes is somewhere in the range of 600,000 per year. That is absolutely astronomical, and that really shows you the vitality of our library. And Bunny, you certainly deserve a lot of credit for that. So thank you for doing that. Mr. Supervisor, I mean, looking at the budget as a whole, I noticed the 2017 operating budget is less than the 2016 operating budget. So I really believe that maintains our fiscal conservative approach to town finances. And the tax rate is the same as it was last year, under the governor's tax cap, which I think is a good thing, but we are not raising the tax rate here in the town of Penfield moving into 2017. And so when I look at everything you know, that I've asked you today, Barbara, and my conversations with you, Mr. Supervisor, and the department heads, look at some of the fiscal aspects that are out of our control and some of them that are in our control. I really feel that this is a very prudent budget put forward by the supervisor, and certainly appreciate every department's efforts in really tightening the budget and sharpening that pencil. And Barbara, you deserve a lot of credit for holding their feet to the fire. I'm sure the supervisor was holding your feet to the fire too. So I will be supporting this budget tonight. I really believe it is working in the best interest of the residents of Penfield, maintaining the same tax rate that we had in 2016. Operating costs are less than they were in the adopted 2016 budget, and it maintains the services that the Penfield residents are used to. Some of the fun events, like the concert series at the amphitheater, and the Halloween event like we're having this Friday, or the Christmas event, but also the 4th of July celebration. You know, things like that this community really embraces and really makes Penfield the town that it is, and the sense of family that we enjoy today. So I will be supporting and certainly urge my colleagues to support this budget tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moore.
I just have a few comments just to expand a little bit on Councilman Moore's comments, and I appreciate those as a nice segue to some of my comments as well. I do support, and I'm tremendously impressed by your work and the department head's work. I think we take as a board a real microscopic look on behalf of our residents as to how money is being spent. And we are challenged with decreasing revenues and increased expenses, particularly from the New York State down, the unfunded mandates that Andy mentioned. And I often refer to us as the end of the line. And New York State is great about coming up with new regulations, new mandates, new fees, but the buck ends up stopping with the towns, villages, and cities, where we are the source of having to acquire those monies from our residents and then pass them on to the state. So the unfunded mandate is certainly something we're very unfortunately used to and certainly familiar with. But I think Councilman Moore raising the notion of the pie chart and really how much town taxes are on average for residents. I've talked in the past about, you know, what kind of bang for the buck do you get for your town tax bill? And I look at about an average of a $6,000 tax bill in the town of Penfield, I think is reasonable, which averages out to then your town tax being $480 per year. So what do you get for your $480 per year? Councilman Moore mentioned several different things that you get. I've listed out things in terms of, from DPW, from the perspective of purchasing needed equipment, big equipment that we need to plow the roads and sidewalks and take care of our parks. This town hall, this building, and all the other facilities are paid for out of that, out of the town budget. Our parks, our recreation activities, all the salt for the roads, unfortunately, that we use a lot of salt some seasons. Sewers, the community center, the 4th of July activities, the Justice Court. The entire Penfield Town Justice Court is also within this budget as well. Salaries of employees, benefits. Dayton's Corner Schoolhouse is part of the town budget. So it's certainly our duty, I think, to make residents aware exactly of, where their money is going and how much is going where. But also, I think it's appropriate for us at this time of year to really cheerlead our department heads who've been very attentive about their budgets and looking at every line where they can cut spending. And I really wish that governments above us would do the same thing. We don't see that at the federal level, I don't think. We certainly don't see it at the state level, and perhaps not to the extent that we do it at the county level. So I appreciate your hard work. I support this budget and all that it provides our residents for such a small amount for each property owner. So I am in support of this budget this year as well. Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paula. Other questions, other comments?
I just want to thank you, Town Supervisor, and Barbara as the Finance Director for all putting this together, working with all the departments to have such a, it's amazing when you have a budget that comes in less than the budget before. That doesn't always happen, and that's excellent. And keeping the tax rate the same, you don't see that in other towns, and we're very proud of the work all of you do to put it together for us to be able to adopt. And thank you. And I certainly will be supporting this budget.
All right, thank you. Other comments? Seeing no other comments, I would ask for a roll call vote on the 2017 budget, please.
Cole.
Aye.
LaFountain.
Aye.
Metzler.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Quinn.
I vote aye.
Thank you very much. And Barbara, once again, thank you. And Bunny, on behalf of all of your fellow department heads and colleagues, thank you for all of your efforts with putting together such a terrific budget that keeps our services the same as last year, does not increase our tax rate to our residents, and still provides those things that people want to be in Penfield for, which is just a great community. So thank you to everyone. All
Thank
right.
you.
Move on to our next resolution.
Revision to adopted purchasing policy.
Moved.
Second.
Be it resolved that the current town purchasing policy be revised to include a section in use of best value contract award in accordance with Town Local Law Number 2 of 2016. Thank you.
Thank you. Discussion? This really is just taking the policy that we adopted at our last meeting, and which was the best value contract award, and blending it into our purchasing policy. Seeing no further comments, I'd ask for a roll call vote, please.
Cole.
Aye.
LaFountain.
Aye.
Metzler.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
5 ayes. Setting a public hearing for the issuance of a special permit to allow personal care service businesses at 2041 Penfield Road.
Moved.
Second.
Whereas an application has been received by the Penfield Town Board for the issuance of a special permit pursuant to the code to allow the installation of a personal care service business at 2041 Penfield Road in the Planned Development Zoning District. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Penfield shall hold a public hearing at the Penfield Town Hall on November 16th, 2016 at 7 p.m. to consider said application and to hear all persons interested in the issuance of this special permit. Thank you.
Thank you. Discussion? Seeing no discussion, roll call vote, please.
Cole.
Aye.
LaFountain.
Aye.
Metzler.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
5 ayes.
Thank you. This takes us to our resolutions. We'll move on to old business. Is there any old business to come before the board this evening? No. Seeing none. Is there any new business to come before the board this evening? Again, seeing none, this brings us to our second public participation. I'll give it one more shot. Anyone in the audience, if someone would like to call in, and we do have someone online that we're going to talk to here in just a moment, but you can call in at 340-8771, 8771, so I got it right this time, or you can log on at penfield.org. And I understand that we have Captain Dick Freitas on the phone with us this evening. So, Dick, go ahead.
Actually, Tony, he hung up.
All right. So, Dick, hopefully you were calling to say what a great job that Bunny Brickman, the department heads, and Barbara Churto had done with the budget. And if it's something different than that, you have my number. Give me a call in the morning. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to address the board on any matter? Okay, seeing none and seeing no further business to come before the board this evening, the October 19, 2016 Town Board meeting stands adjourned at 7:42 p.m. Thank you to everyone that participated. Thank you to PCTV. Well, normally these meetings run like 3 to 4 hours. You just